Welcome Ji. Let us start our Java tutorial. So today I am going to talk on the nested classes. Okay. So let us discuss what kind of nested classes have and what are the syntax and semantics. And with the example, try to understand how we can use nested classes. Ajay, so the Java programming language allow you to define a class within a class. Okay, such class known as a nested class. Okay, so we have option ki generally one class. This is the one class. You can define another class as you said inside this class. Okay, so this is a kind of your nested class. So if we let us discuss the one kind of a nested class we are available and how we can look it and how can use it. So as you know, there are some we have a you can say top level class. Okay, let's this is our top level class. Top level class. So generally, let's top level class. This is a top level class, and top level class can generally define your variable. Okay, variable can be your static or your instance variable, and similarly, you can define your method. Method can be your static or your instance method. Similarly, you can define your classes inside another class. That class also be kind of a two kind of classes. Maybe your static classes or maybe your non-static classes or instance classes. So generally, we discuss how we can define a class inside a top level class, and that class can be nested, can be your static nested class or non-static nested class. So these are two part we discuss. Okay, so this is the two part we discussed today, and sometimes you can also define a class inside this. This is the method definition. Method definition inside the method definition. Inside a method definition, you can also define a class. So this class also known as your some local classes, your static nested classes, or this class known as your inner classes. So we'll discuss about this key, how to create your local classes, how to create your static nested classes, how to create your inner classes. So these kind of high level structures we discussed today, the kind of classes, the places where you can create class. Class you can create a top level in source file you create a class, top level class, or you can create a class inside your another class. Okay, that is your nested class. You can also create a class inside a particular method body, that is known as your local classes. Okay, so let's discuss in detail out. This is the high levels. So the first we discuss some confusing terminology which we use about the nested class are divided into the two categories as I discussed, static class and non-static class. Okay, so this is your outer class. In this outer class you can define your, this is the static nested class, this is your non-static nested class. Okay, so nested class that are declared as a static called a static nested class. Clear? This known as a static nested class example, and the non static nested class known as your inner class. So sometimes you define inner class. Inner class means you are defining a class inside another class that is your not static. So non-static in nested class known as your inner class. This is simply your nested static nested class. Let's here you can define your class top level top level class. Inside top level class you can define a class. Okay, class nested class. Okay, the nested class can be two category, maybe static, maybe non-static. Okay, so here you can define your static and it is so known as a static nested class, and non-static nested class known as your inner class. Simple. So if we have to, this is the way you can declare your classes inside inner class. You can say nested class is the member of its enclosing class. Okay, a non nested class like inner class. Okay, sometimes you can say have access to the other member of your enclosing class. Okay, this is enclosing class, not top level class, the class inside you define in a class, even if they are declared as a private. Static nested class do not have access to the other member of your enclosing classes. Okay, as the member of outer class, a nested class can be declared, okay, can be declared public, protected, and private as well as. Recall that other outer class can only be declared a top level class here, public or private public. So here they are explaining this is your, let's say this is the top level class. So here you can define only X public modifier, or you can just skip default. Default means private package private. Or here you can other thing define as a only public Excel modifier, nothing else defined. But in these two classes, here you can define your complete private, public, and protected as same the behavior what the access visibility we have. Okay, and let us discuss about in why use nested classes. So the reason for even nested classes, these are the following, but have a multiple scenario and situation where you can is, but here high level we can categorize in the three way. First way, it is a way to logically grouping a class that are only used in a one place. Some we are identify. Okay, so if a class is useful to only one other class, then it's logically embedded in that class and keep together. So they're nesting classes. Look like you sometime you need helper classes. And the second point, it's increase the encapsulation. Okay, consider two top level classes A and B, where B need access to the member of A that would otherwise be declared as a private. By hiding class B within a class A member can declare private and B can access them. In additionally, B itself can be hidden from the outside of the word as well as. So sometime you are one top level class have to declare some private method, and other classes parallel top level classes cannot access, but inside define your inner classes can easily access. So this increase our encapsulation, and it can also lead more readable and maintainable code. Reason that we have a logically group. This is the related class. This class is in this is the place where only. So due to that, your nesting classes with the top level classes place the code closure where it is used. So this is the, you can say, logically sense where the particular set of attribute, instead of writing a 10 attribute, and as per the business terminology, why we not creating the same class that is the logically where they are used. So let us deep discussion about these two kind of classes. One is the static nested classes, another is the or your inner classes. So first we're discussing about the static nested class. So as a class with the class and variables, okay, the static nested class associated with its outer class, and like static class methods, uh, static nested class cannot refer directly to instantiate the variable or method define its enclosing classes. It can use them only through object or references. So what the meaning here? Here say your nested classes cannot access here. Let's example. Here let's key we have defined the integer. Let's key uh, variable one. Okay, and there two kind of variable can be your can be static variable or non-static variable, right? Okay, here. Okay, and here inside your let's say we have a method public void test, and that method let's is out. Here you are able to access your instead of mention the static variable. Makes sense. Okay. Instance variable. Instance variable. So here you are trying to access your static data member. You can easily access. And here you are trying to access like your instance variable. This generally not allowed. So here, not allowed. Okay. So non-static field instance variable cannot reference from the static context. So this is your instance variable. Instance variable you cannot access inside your static nested class. So this is the remember it's not allowed. It's not allowed. It's not allowed here. So we have to place we only static outer side if declare some static member a class member that can be accessed inside your static nested class, but you cannot access any instance member inside a static class, static nested class. So static nested class interact with the instance member of its outer class. And just like any top level classes. Okay, if our nested class want to access, then they have to get the instance of the top level class, then use static nested class. We have a top level class that has been nested at another top level class, and similarly. So here if you want to access some, here they want to access those, so here they can create your uh, a top level class object to new, and here they can access your obj dot. So this is allowed. Okay, if you need it, if you really need it, if you really needed to access your instance variable inside your static nested class, then you have to get the instance first, create the object, and then you can access the variable. But static data member directly can access. So directly cannot access the instance variable, but with the help of object reference instance you can access. Right? And sometime static nested classes are accessing using the enclosing class name. let's you want to access this static in nested class, maybe in main method, in any other top level class. So here your top level class, and define some nested class, and here in the top level class. Okay, here you want to access this class here. Okay, so how to access? Let's see, this is the top level class A, and this is a B. You want to access C here. So how to access? So here you have to access top level class A, then dot, and then C. In this way, you can access your outer class dot your nested class name. So you have to get the help of your class name. If C class name declare here, you want to access C outside of the this class, you have to get the help of your top level class dot A and then dot C. A dot C are allowed to access. Okay, to create an object of nested static class, you can outer level class, then your nested class name, and then here your object name, and after that you can create new, again help the your outer class name dot your nested class name. So let's here I want to create the object of this class. So you cannot access like this object equal to new this object. In this way you cannot create. So how? So you have to let top level class. Here you want to create this way, it's not allowed. Okay, here why? This class is a, this is the top level class. Inside you have to define another class, so you cannot access directly. If you want to create access of this class, create object of this class, then you have to take the help of this top level class, then dot, then you can access this. Similarly here, first you create a top level class object, then dot you can create also top level class name. Okay, so this is the way here you can create. Now you can create here obj1 your test method. Let's here define variable 1, here define 2. Okay, sorry. So in this way you are able to access your variable. So please be remember, whenever you want to create your object of any nested class, you have to take the help of your top level class dot top level dot class, and after that you can create the object of your nested class, nested static class. So now let's discuss about your inner class. If you want to, inner class known as a nested class non-static. So the instance member and variable, the inner class associated with the instance append closing class has directly access to the objects and methods and field, because the inner class is associated with an instance, so it cannot define any static member itself. Okay, so here let's discuss here. That means key here, let's key here you have to define a public void test, and here you want to access your this variable, instance variable, you can easily access here. Okay, here and if you want to access this variable, this is also accessible. So here in the inner class, you can access your all the instance variable directly. Okay, here you can access instance variable directly because you are the part of instance, and but here static member also access. So okay, and let us here show object are instantiated of inner class exist within an instance of your outer class. Okay, so if you want to create the instance of this, first you have to create the instance of this as well. So it's the inner class. So instance of inner class can exist only within the within the index instance of your outer class. Okay, has directly access the member and field of its enclosing class. Because first we create the object of this class inside this object created. So this class is directly access all your instance field and method. So how to instantiate in your class object? You must first create the object of your outer class and then create the inner class object. So here, how to create objects? See the sometime first you have to create the outer class object, then create a new instance object. Similarly, here you have to create the object as usual. So let's create. So if you want to create the this class object, this is inner class object. If you like try to create like this obj2 equal to new obj2, this is not allowed because this is not accessible. So how you have to create a first top level your here you cannot top level class dot this is accessible, but you cannot create object. For create object you have to create the new object this dot. In this way you can access your inner class. Okay, so first you have to create the top level object, after that you create a next, and from here you can write your dot test. This is the test 1 and this is the test 2. So that is it. This is the test 1, test 2. Let's here insert method is out your inner class. So here you run. So in this way you can create the object of your, okay, this way you can access. Sorry. So be remember whenever you are going to create the object of your inner class, first you have to create the object of a top level class, then you are able to access. Okay, sometime you can create in this way as well as you can create first object of object uh, top level top level class object equal to new top level class, and after that you can similarly here you can write your like that's key object 3 3 here you can here you cannot create object, but use the reference of your top level class. So in this way also allow you can, okay. So sometime you have to first create the your top level object, first create top level object, after that you will create a new instance. So in anyhow the two way you can create, but here in the left side you have to only take the name dot this. Okay, here both left side is the static and non-static is the same, but right side here we don't create the top level class object, only is nested static class we are creating object, but here you have to create a top level class object and that is as well as a nested inner class as well as. So here in the inner class you have to create the object of top level and then you can create the inner object of inner class. So these are the we have discussed about the class. Okay, two kind of class. This is the top level class we discussed, and top level class contain your static nested class. Nested class is non-static nested class. This is your inner class. This is your static nested class. Okay. So there are two special kind of inner classes also. We'll learn about the I say local classes and anonymous classes. I already explained no local class whenever you are defining any classes inside a particular method, a block that is known as a local class. We'll learn how to uh, we'll take an example as well. So sometimes we have feel some kind of variables shadowing, like your top level class, its top level class created some variable x. Similarly, inside your inner class created variable x. So who will access inside your methods? So local or top level or instance level. So this is kind of a shadowing concept. Let's this first read out, then I took example. If a declaration of a types such as your member variable or parameter name, okay, in a particular scope such as a inner class or method definition has the same name as another declaration in the top level class. Then the declaration shadow the declarations of enclosing class. So you cannot refer a shadow declaration by its name only. So I say top level class declare x variable, inner class also declare x variable, and the method you are trying to access the x variable. So you cannot directly access x here with only name. So how to access the same variable name here? Let's example here. Okay. So here your top level class. Okay. We have declared variable x equal to 0. Okay. Inside your another your inner class you declare why inner class, this is a non-static, so inner class. So here you declare another same variable x. Here is the x, here x, here x, and the method you're trying to print x, the who of which x they are going to refer, and this refer going to always refer your this variable, okay, x. Whatever you're passing here, they are referring this x. Be clear, they are not referring this, they are not referring this. If you want to refer this variable, your instance variable, this instance variable, okay, so you have to use the this dot, okay, this dot you want to reference this variable. If you want to access this variable, then you have to hit the class name dot then this then x. So this is the way you can create, not the directly you can access it. Okay, so let's example as well. So let's see here. We have either in this class, I have a declare another instance variable. Okay, another instance variable. Okay, let's 3. Okay, and here inside another method like public void test 3, and here I pass the same instance variable name. Okay, so that name should be the same, so that there is some confusion. So here if you try to access, okay, test 3. Okay, so here you this is not this is referring to local variable, this is only, okay, this cannot refer this cannot refer this. Okay, if you run it, uh, here you can just create obj dot here test 3. I here pass like a variable 100. Okay, the I pass as a 100, so they refer this 100, this 100. They are not referring to this, that's not referring to this. Run it. So be always clear whenever you are referring any variable inside a method. If that variable declare local, the first preference is always local. This is your parameter, a local variable. So first always reference to this variable. if you want to access of your access of the inside the class which declare, so this is the access barabar, as you know the current object is the this, though you can use the this dot refer to the current object, so this dot you can say, so they refer this variable. Okay, if you run it, they refer 3, they refer a 3. Okay, so please, if you want to access this, so you have to take the help of your class name. This class name I want to instance variable, so here you can say your class name, this then dot, then your instance variable which you want to access. So in this way you are able to access your 2 as well as. So please be somewhere, if your same name define in your method, same name define your inner class, same name define your top level class. So if you want to access the particular variable, you have to specify. We have to specify I want to access only local variable. You have to specify local variable. Then you have to don't use anything, just your variable name. If you want to access your instance variable, then you have to access your this dot. Okay, if you want to access your top level class variable, then your top level class, then this, then your instance variable. So this is the way you are able to access your variable. So in this example also, you have here declare a 0, here declare a 1. Here in the main method, this created the your object first class, and then object dot get new is inner class object, and after that they pass 23. So 23 is passed your in here x. Okay, so this x is placed 23, 23. Next this dot x is printed here, this variable, this is your 1, and this is your top level variable. If you want to access here this way, so this is your 0. So now we have discussed the two classes, your inner class as well as your static nested class. Now let us discuss about the local classes. Local classes. Local classes are classes that are defined in the block. Okay, any block like which group of a 0 or more statement between the balance. Okay, the typically local class defined in the body of a method. Okay, so whenever you write in a method, inside the method you can declare some classes. So that is known as local classes. Similarly, your local variable. Inside a method, if you define any variable, that is local variable. Similarly, you can define any classes inside the method, that is local classes. So you can define local class inside any block, maybe in an expression, maybe in a statement, maybe in any block or in a method. So you can define a local class in a method, body or for loop or if loop, anywhere field inside a method you can define. Now let's example. So let's here I have one method like public test local class. Okay, this method should return some. Okay, so in this method you have declared some local variable. So here you can define class as well. Let's here define some local variable int parameter. Okay, parameter variable, or you can declare some integer local variable equal to 100, and here you can define the class as well as class like a local class. Okay, so this class is local class. Okay, so this class is a local class. So you are defining this class inside your method body. So this is the way you are creating a local classes. So we have to discuss some point about the local classes. Okay, Local classes has access to the local variable, and local classes only access the local variable that are declared final. When local class access to local variable or parameter in closing block it, it's captured that value of variable is final. So here what I'm trying to say, let's here you are declaring your variable like integer instance var local instance var local instance variable you can declare. Let's declare is a 2. Okay, and here you can define public void test4. Okay, and here you can s out your uh, it's a uh, local value. Okay, local instance variable first try to access local instance variable. So here you got first question here key you have to clear. First, you have to think this class is created to where we can create the object. So this is the local class. In a local variable, a local class is accessible only the body where they are declared. If you define this class inside your method, this is the only accessible inside this class. Outside of this method, this class cannot accessible in anyhow. Okay, so we have not to create the local class object in the main method. Here, other classes in other method as well as in the same class. If another method, you cannot access this. This is the very local scope. So you have to declare your class, and the same after that you can create object of this class. So be clear, you cannot create object of local class outside of this method. Okay, so first things here you can create your object of local class only. Local class, local object equal to new. Okay, here and here you can pass your local dot your test4. And how to access in the main method? The main method you have object of this class, then invoke your object of this class. So we have object of this class, and now here object dot your test local class. Here pass like the 900, and those values are here. So in this way you can create your this is your 2. You got it? Yes, this is the 2. This is the local instance 2. Okay, so this is the object created, and here you pass this method for 2. This print is the local variable 2. So what are the restrictions here? Let's say here you are trying to access this variable 200. So if you are trying to access this variable, this variable, okay, and then let's print it. Okay, this print you 100. What happened? Let's say you this is the local variable. You are just trying to change here equal to 200. Then you read it carefully. They are previously, if you have not written this code, these are allowed. Okay, so local variable cannot access from within inner class. Need to be declared final or effective final. Before Java 8, if you are trying to run this code, our compiler enforce you this variable should be final. This variable should be final before you are going to use. But Java 8 onward, they say it should be effective final. That means these variables, whatever you are going to use inside your local classes of your this local variable, this should be effectively final. If you're not doing any modification, that look like this is assume this is a final. But whenever you are going to change this value, this is not final, so compiler give you the error. This variable should be effectively final. So please be aware whenever you are accessing any local variable like this or local variable like this should be effectively final. Means once these are declared, after that you cannot modify it. Here they are declared, here you are passing. Okay, after that you cannot change this variable inside your body. Okay, so this is the way you can say you cannot modify any local variable after the use. Okay, so if I mark as your final, then it's here not allowed, here not allowed. So this is the way. This is the kind of B intelligence. So if effectively finding this now, this variable look like a final, and now it's work. Similarly, you can also here do like get your this variable parameter which we pass here. You can access. In this way, you are run its work fine. It's work fine. Find 900 parameter password. You are able to access. But here, let's say you are trying to say I am going to change here to 1000. Okay. So whenever you are going to the change here, you are again compiler say the variable this is accessed from inner class. Okay, this is local class. Okay, this variable you are accessing your inside local classes. So this variable should be effectively should be need to be final or effectively final, or you can mention explicitly here final, or you don't modify in this your class. So please be aware if you are writing any variable, accessing any inside your local method. Inside your local method, you are accessing any local variable or parameter variable. This should be generally final. So general recommendation: if someone, if you are not declaring a final, if someone can to modify, your code is break. So that is general practice whenever you are declaring some local variable. That should be truly final, so that no one can here going to the change here. Like okay, final variable cannot be modified. So be practice and try to make your always your input parameter should be final if someone is not going to change locally. This is also as a general practice guidelines. If you are getting any input parameter, that input parameter should be final, so that key none of these variables are inside your method what you are going to change. So in the case of you are using some local classes, in local class you are trying to access your parameter variable and you are trying to modify that not allowed. So local classes in these variables should be effectively final. From before Java 8, it's mandatory. You can declare a final keywords. Okay, but Java 8 onward, they assume developer cannot modify this local variable after using the inner class. This is the one note point for your. So same thing here. This declare variable are declared final before Java 8 and after Java 8. After Java starting Java, local classes can access local variable or a parameter of the enclosing block that are final or effective final. Effective final means ki our compiler assume developer do not modify the variable which are accessed inside the local classes. Okay, so variable are a parameter whose value are never change. Uh, it's initialized effectively final. So last things we'll also discuss about your types of classes. We discuss about inner class. We discuss about the nested static nested class. We discuss about local classes. Now the last kind of a class known as your anonymous class. So what is anonymous class? Anonymous class enable you to make your code more concise. First thing, okay, they enable you to declare and instantiate a class at the same time. Means ki here a class A you are declaring at the same time you are initializing as well same class. Okay, they are like a local classes, except that they do not have a name. So here you can creating your new, okay, new, but you cannot specify any name of this class which you want to create. This is okay. Without name, you can create a class. We have to think. So in anonymous class के you are creating a class, at the same time you are declaring, and at the same time you are initializing the instance, creating object of that class, and that class does not contain any name as well. So how look like, how it's feasible, how do it? Okay, so let us look at example. Uh, Public void test a no class. Okay. So how to create an anonymous class? Okay, first we have to think. Let's hear some point we discuss what like local classes. Anonymous class can captures variables, and they have the same access to the local variable of the enclosing class. Similarly, look like they consider your local classes where they are declared and the same place they are going to use as well. So in our example, in a local class, here we have created the object of this class, and after that we are creating the object, creating class and creating object. And similarly in the local class, you have to declare and create the object as well and use. And there are some rules. Your anonymous class can have access the member of its enclosing class. It's where they are anonymous class going to declare they can access, and an anonymous class cannot access the local variable or enclosing. It should be similarly declare as a final or effective final. And like a nested class, declarations of anonymous variable, anonymous class shadow the declarations of enclosing class. If you top level class define some same name variable and the same name you define inside your anonymous class, similar behavior you will achieve. And so here, look what you can declare the following anonymous class. You can declare your field. You can declare any method. You can instance initializer. You can look like your local classes. Okay. So here, what have some restrictions. Anonymous class also have some restrictions as a local classes. Similarly, you cannot declare static initializer or member or interface inside an anonymous class. So in anonymous class, you cannot declare any instance static data member like a static initializer block, static initializer block, and as well as the an interface. Interface by default considered as a default static. So anonymous class can have a static member provide their constant. If there are some constant variable you can use. One thing be noted that you cannot declare the constructor. Okay, why? For declaring constructor need a class name, but an anonymous class doesn't say that we have any class. So how to write a class that doesn't have any class name? So let's discuss your scenario. So first thing, no, anonymous class is a subclass or an implementation class of interface. Let's see, we have a one interface, your runnable interface. You know runnable interface. If you are going to implement your subclass, let's see uh, my runnable, my runnable, and here you have to override the defined method like your run method you have define here, and you have to do. So here you have to create one class, okay, and then you override the your declarations declare method inside your interface. So this is the your class. So see, instead of you have to only define your override a method this here. So you why you cannot write this class without name? So let's like example. Here you write like simply you can write class my runnable. Okay, my runnable uh, my runnable here, and you generally say implement runnable. Okay, and here you have to override. So I am inside of run method. Okay, so this is way you are creating own class of anything, and after that you are going to create an object of this class of object of your new runnable class, and that after that you access your run method object run method. So this is the way you are accessing your let's you are writing this top level dot your this way. So this way you are creating one class object, and this is the here you know we till now the anonymous class, but we have a written class that have a name. Okay, right? So you think can you think we can write this class without this name or not? So here anonymous class help us to I don't write to this class, but I want to access I want to only write this method which we needed. Okay. So generally this class contain this. So what say ki this is your implement if you are this is your writer class. Okay, this is your anonymous class. They if you just remove the name, that the remaining part is your anonymous class. So how to write this anonymous class? Just you are just copy this and paste is here you are using the myrunnable class name. So just complete code what just remove this your myrunnable class name and write this here. In this way you can able to access. So if you remove this myrunnable class here and the class here, then what the name you are referring here? Here you have to use the name of your interface which you are implementing. In this case of runnable we are using, so you have right to runnable only, right? So here we have to remove this class name, this class name, this class name. Here I am write the your runnable interface which the method I am going to override, and all the part I selected part just place here. We have to use your new keyword and place the complete code and then your runnable. That's like here. So how to write runnable? Runnable means you have write your anonymous class that doesn't have a name. So I am not going to use this my runnable name. I am going to use this interface name which I am going to interface obj let's one, then equal to you have to new here what we have to write your this code complete this. Okay, this is the complete code. So here you will uh, here for creating any object you have to write this parenthesis. So now after that you have write this is your semicolon. So here write a semicolon. So now here you are creating one anonymous class. Consider anonymous. Okay, and how to access similarly this object one dot you can access your own method. So you are the anonymous. So this is the example of anonymous. So example anonymous is the simply you can say anonymous is the some implementation class of an interface. or implementation class of an existing. If we have a one runnable interface, okay, you can write using your named class. You can implement one class, okay, give some name. In this case, I have given the my runnable, and implement the body. This is the complete your local class. But I want to implement the same. I don't want to create the separate class. I want to just create a object of what the business logic they have written here. So I create this here. We have using the same keyword name run num. I'm just removing this name. I don't need class name. I don't need class name. I don't need class name. If don't need class name, we are not write this. We are not write implement. So I have to just place this complete your runnable implementation. So I write this complete code here after that. After complete implementation body, complete implementation body. Okay. And if I remove the name, then the same name reference name I am able to use to here as well as. So you are able to create the complete class logics without any class name. This is known as an anonymous class. So it's clear what are the anonymous class. Anonymous class is nothing implementation of an interface or you can a subclass of an existing classes. So anonymous class kind of your subclass or implementation class of any particular. So if you want to create an anonymous class, first there is a should be existence of any interface or should be existence of any class. Here in interface you are creating a sub your implementation class. Here you are creating a subclass. Okay, here you are creating a subclass. Here you are implementation class. So this is the implementation class and subclass. Generally we are writing with a class name. So now we can write this complete class without name as well as. Okay. So if until there is no any interface, there is no any existing classes, you cannot create an anonymous class. For creating any anonymous class, we have to need some existing classes or interface. Those existing classes we have to use the name here and name here existing class or interface. And what the implementation body, what the class you want to write complete class, you write it after this. Okay, after that. So this is the way you can write your anonymous class. And similarly, all the feature of a local look like this is your local class. Similarly, this is the anonymous is also local classes, and they are used all the variable declare here as per the rules of the local classes. If some instance variable or some parameter here you are trying to access, that should be effectively final, right? Here is the definition say here as per definition say you are creating the class of anonymous class, at the same time you are declaring as well as you are creating object and assigning to reference variable at the same time. So similarly you cannot construct here you will not write any constructor because you are not having any class name. So last we have some new enhancement after Java 8. If your generally let's we have a one if one simply this is kind of lambda expression also kind of anonymous class, but they have some differences. They can also for writing any lambda expressions you have a right need some one interface that have only one your abstract method, and then you can write the implementation class of this using the lambda expression as well. Similarly, in our case of your runnable interface, if this runnable interface, let's have a two method, a three method, then you cannot a lambda expression. Lambda expression is look like an anonymous function, but they in the only conditions is that those interface have a only one abstract method. If you look the is the runnable interface, If you look runnable interface is the kind of they have only one abstract method. So this code you can from this is also known as a functional interface from Java 8 onward, and such kind of interface, one interface having only one method declare. So this method implementation you can give using the your you can say your lambda expression. Okay, a lambda expression look like your anonymous function, but condition is that lambda expression is only valid if your interface have only one abstract method. But in the case of your anonymous function, anonymous classes, we have a function one, a function two. If you declare two abstract method, still your anonymous class you can override F1 method and F2 method as well as. So why we are able to do reason is that here you can given the override your run method. Similarly, you override run two method. All the method you can override. So let us discuss about your public void test lem expression. So lambda expression is also kind of anonymous function, but they have a work only for your interface that has only one abstract method. Okay, if in the case of our runnable is the functional interface, an interface that have only one abstract method. This is known as your functional interface. So if you want to provide the implementation of your functional interface, you have to write your implementation class, or you can write as your lambda expression, or you can write as an anonymous class. The anonymous class look like local class. Similarly, expression your lambda expression also look like your anonymous class or anonymous function, you can say. So let's write some here the same example. If you write the lambda expression, so lambda expression have a syntax. Okay, if one interface, if a functional interface have a one method, the generally method define your parameter list, and then if you are implementing this, you have to go to override your method same signature and giving the definition and your body. So what lambda expression say, you don't need this method name as well as, okay, only this parenthesis, this is the parenthesis, and this don't need a kind of opening and closing brace here to give the body. How to give the body definition? Give the arrow. See the arrow symbol, and here complete your body whatever the definition. This is the opening curly and closing curly right here. If your method take a two argument, three argument, you pass your parameter one, two, three, lots of, and write your expression. So this is a so concise syntax of your writing local, you can say implementation class of an interface, or you can say anonymous class, or you can say your lambda expression. Lambda expression is a so concise form of writing implementation object of an interface. If you have any existing interface, then you can use lambda expression. Okay, the lambda expression precondition, if you are trying to use lambda expressions, first you have to need one interface. That interface have only one abstract method. So lambda expression provide the implementation body of that method. Okay, here in the case of our runnable interface, so here in the same example I can, so you don't write another method here. So here let's come here. So if you want to here this is your local class that implement your runnable interface that have only one abstract method. Okay, this is the functional interface. We are writing my class and implementing a business logic. Second way, you don't need your class name. I just use your interface name, and create the complete definition body. So lambda expressions say you don't need write even a method. If you know this interface has only one method, why need this signature as well as? Don't need. So just remove this. The only your business logic part is this. Okay, this is your actual implementation of your run method. So why you are not writing this way? your runnable, your object 2, then you are this needed, you just write your parenthesis and just this is your body expression. And what is your, this is body or this is body? Okay, this is I'm a lambda expression. So in this way, same again, object 2 dot your run method. So you are in a lambda expression. So lambda expression is a kind of a implementation method of an existing interface. Simply, okay, and they provide some shorter syntax. Okay, if we have a one interface that have only one abstract method, we can implement this interface using the your class, local class or any class can implement your runnable interface and giving the run method definition, or you can write your anonymous class that don't take any name but where they are declared at the same time you can created the object as well as that is known as anonymous class. Similarly, though, so concise, if you know this interface have only one method, so why I am overriding this one method? I know we have to only provide the business logic. So just remove this override method and you just provide your business logic here. And this is the your concise form of your lambda expression. The lambda expression is the just a form of implementing implementing an interface that have only one abstract method. So this is your definition of your abstract method that is defined in interface. That is your interface name. So this is the lambda expression. It's good. So it's so clear what are the lambda expressions. And lambda similarly you can let's write here. Here you can write another like a public void uh, take take one argument. Let's keep it take a runnable argument. Okay, a runnable argument here. Okay, and you just obj and here obj dot your run method. So here you don't try to know in this way. Okay, so this way you can invoke your take method. Take runnable object. So you can pass your runnable object obj. Okay, here. Or you can similarly pass your runnable object here as well. Take your object 1. You can also pass your runnable object here that take your 2. So you can say if this interface, this object take one runnable interface object, so we have to pass as argument. So passing any okay, all it still work. Okay. So we have to be clear is that if we have an interface that if we have a method that take one interface object, so first you have to implement those interface and create the object of those interface implement and then pass here, or you can directly not at the same time creating an anonymous class and creating object, same object you pass here, or you can create a lambda expressions implementation body and you can pass here as well as. So so concise, this complete is the expression. So expression can to pass in a parameter as well as. So here what you can say instead of writing this, you can say take I complete pass this code here. Complete code pass my as input argument here. And this is the lambda expression parameter. Parameter lambda expression. So this is the power of your lambda expression. Lambda expression code, lambda expression complete code you can pass as a parameter. Take your input as enable interface object. So you can pass complete your complete definition, complete your business this is lambda expression evaluated and return value. So this parameter evaluate and return your runnable object, and you can run it. So this is the beauty of your lambda expression. Lambda expression code can pass as a parameter as well as. So now from lambda expression you can say you can say you can say our one method can take runnable object, or can also take complete your method body. This is your method body. This is your method body is complete. You pass as a method body into your take parameter. Take a runnable object. So you are not creating any object, to here, but instead complete the business logic. This is your business logic implementation method of your run method. You complete pass as an argument here. So it's the power of your lambda expression. Lambda expression from Java 8 onward, now the change the meaning. Now your method can take any primitive data types, or can take any object, or can take virtually any method definition as well as. Okay. So this complete code you can uh, 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 pass an argument, as well as this complete code you can return as a this complete lambda expression you can return. Let's get this method take a return types your let's method take a return type your runnable runnable. Then you have to instead of you have to pass some return, and complete code you can pass here in the return. Okay. Okay. This is the you can complete return. So you have to this complete lambda expression, complete code you can return. Okay, so this is the you can say power of lambda expression. Lambda expression create the from lambda expression you can create an object of any existing interface implementation for particular object method. You can pass as a object. You can pass complete code as a. You can also return the complete lambda expression. So lambda expression as a code you can not return here any value. Here not returning any primitive integer or float, but here you can just return the implementation class of your runnable object, runnable interface. Okay. The reason why your this class take your runnable object, and now here you can say from here you can also say like this runnable this, and this method return your value. Okay. Okay. This returning, and now from here you can whatever object you want. So lambda expression help us to write any implementation method of an interface. That interface have only one abstract method. Okay, that one abstract method we can implement it using your lambda expression, or complete lambda expression you can pass as a method parameter, or you can complete lambda expression you can return as a return value as well as. So this is the way lambda expression, and be aware about the lambda expression look like a anonymous class, but this is lots of major differences. Anonymous class is a complete class. Whenever you are compiling a code, at that time new dot class file is created for that, new object is created for that. This is lambda expression, not a class. This is look like one static method only. So lots of things in lambda expression. If you want to more detail about the lambda expression, you have to just go through in my one of the I have already created detail about the lambda expression, what kind of a benefit lambda expression offer. But this is the concise here. Okay, and the last things we about talk about the as well as method references. Java 8 onward method references can only use to replace the single method lambda expression. Okay, and the code is more clear and short if you use the lambda expression rather than using the anonymous classes, right? And one can use the method references rather than using the single function lambda expression. So generally, sometime you want to invoke the method, we have to this is the new operator from Java 8 onward. Use method reference. Any method name you can use from here. If those method take only one input argument. Okay. So here let us go about this kind of a method reference you can take if you have a static method reference, maybe instance method reference, instance method with a number of argument or constructor references. So here you can use your class name, that is static method name, your object, that instance method name, object, that your instance type, as well as and constructor. This is the help of your method reference. Method reference help us to write a code that is more concise. How, let's example here method reference uh, like uh, we have written uh, like this. Let's say here you are invoking this class. Okay, and that this is this class, that's okay, this class. Okay, so instead of writing this way, you can write scope resolution operator and your take anonymous class, take your local class here. But question is key where you are passing argument. So generally in the case of your when we read about the streaming, at that time stream pass one by one argument, so in this way you can pass lambda expression. Okay, so here I am just going to not show here, but let's example I have a like let's give we have a like an example show you uh, or just printing some number, you can say. And let's creating I'm giving example of this. Let's you create the object of this. So you can this top level class obj equal to, you can say, top level class colon div. In this way you can create your object obj. Okay. Okay, so there should be functional interface. Okay, so runnable you can create object this way, but not a functional one. Okay, so sometime any if this is the functional interface that you can write. Okay. So lots of in future I will. So let's example we have a some interest stream dot. Let's give I'm just example interest dot range that functions we have a 1 to 5, and here we have for each function take your consumer interface dot out dot. Here you can write your println function. So in this way, if your object take only one input argument, there we can write your concise code here. So method reference help us to write a code. Instead of writing those codes, you can write the same like this. Your functional interface take one number, and that number is out to write those numbers. So this is the way. Okay. So instead of writing a two different way, we can write the same code in the different order ways. So we are able to print it. So method reference here say instead of writing your complete println method and pass one input argument, okay, this into whatever one number come here, this number pass here, then second number comes, second number pass, third number for. Similarly, instead of writing complete this code to the lambda expression, if this lambda expression you can write in the method reference, just by itself. This is no, this is the println method take one argument, this one argument automatic pass here. So that help us to write a so concise code in the whenever you are implementing some interface with the lambda expression. Okay, so it's nice to in future. I'll whenever you are going to use a method reference, it's to help us to write a so concise and clear code. So last we have to discuss where we can use the next. We have study about nested class. We have two kind of nested class: inner class, static nested class, local classes. We discuss anonymous classes, discuss lambda expression and method reference. So local classes use it when you need to create a more than one instance of a class to access its constructor or introduce new method types. So here we can use the local classes. Anonymous classes, okay, anonymous classes is a just implementation of an existing interface or any sub class of an existing classes. So you have to declare this anonymous class, and you don't need to write new classes and again going to use it. So you can use anonymous where you have any existing interface you want to just implement and invoke the object of that particular implemented method. Similarly, you have a study nested classes, two kind of nested classes where we study your inner class and one static nested class as well as. So here, use it if your requirement are similar to those as a local classes. If you want to make the type more widely available, so don't require to access the local variable and local method. Instead of writing maybe one class, that class create object and that object will help. And similarly, we have a study or a non-static nested class like inner classes. If we require to access all the in top level class non-public field or method, uh, so that help us to if we have created a class here and this we have some private variable here, and if you write another class here, if you want to access this private variable from here, so this is not allowed. Private data member cannot access outside of the classes. So here you can write your inner class. And inner class directly access your instance variable as a private or public and doesn't any matter. So some scenario it help us to write your inner class to access your private data member and build up your business logic. And as we explained, Lambda expressions is the concise form of providing the implementation object of an interface. If you have one interface, where if you have one interface, that interface have only one single abstract method in those interface known as a functional interface, and function lambda expression is to provide the implementation of functional interface. And the definition part you are writing your as a opening curly braces and writing your logic, and this complete expression, this is the expression, this expression you can pass assign to a reference variable of that object, you can pass to any parameter, you can return this complete references. So please be lambda expression. This is your implementation of a single abstract method that defining the functional interface, that take method take some input argument, and after that we have a written your implemented possible. This is your lambda expression. This lambda expression you can assign in your reference object as well as which interface you are implementing, and you can just pass complete this code is as a input parameter for in any method that take this interface object. And third, you can return the complete this expression lambda expression as a return types of in a method as well as. So if is you can say similarly, if you are encapsulating the single unit of behavior that you want to pass to other code. Okay. So for example here, so you would like to lambda expression if you want to certain action perform on each element of collections as well as, so when the process is completed or when the process encounter error. So this lambda expression is really used in the Java Stream API where lots of functions like a predicate, my for each collect all these take object of your single interface method, maybe predicate, maybe consumer, maybe functions. So lambda expression help us to define the implementation method of an interface that have only one substrate method. So for that, this really is a simple instance of a functional interface. Okay, that this is the functional. If you have a functional interface, those interface have only one abstract method. This from lambda expression help us to define, yeah, declare, define the definition of those single, and you can lots of help here. And this is complete from types of classes which we discuss. top level classes we have discussed. We have discussed two kind of classes: nested static nested class and inner class. We have discussed local class. We have discussed anonymous class. We have discussed look like lambda expression and method references. Hope it's help you. And so again here I would like to say again thank you for watching this video.